My name is Waffles, and I'm a government whistleblower turned political commentator. I just seen a guy who was talking about how it's great that we got people getting everybody informed and all, but we need solutions. So I'm here to provide some solutions. He wants to know what we can do to deal with the problem that we're facing. I'm going to provide those solutions. If you go to my Substack account and you navigate to where it says posts, you will then find an article that says, what can we do now that a crusty Oompa Loompa and pack of morons has infiltrated our federal government? And it has a list of things that you can do to help protect yourself, others, and people of the United States of America. It reads as follows. We know our federal government is corrupt. We can obviously see that. They are not acting in the interest of the nation or the general public. We cannot rely on them to save us, and should not be believing that they will. We are Americans, and we fought World War II and also established the United Nations, and with that, world peace. We can do it again. We are capable, and we need to recognize that. Things that you can do would include organize at the state level, continue putting pressure on Congress and our federal offices, but don't rely on that as your savior. Hold your state government accountable to protect the public, provide services, and protect overall public safety. Contact your state governor and request that police departments be mobilized to monitor ICE operations. Anytime an ICE agent encounters anyone, people should be able to demand the police verify their identity and affiliation before they proceed with any arrests. ICE has been abducting random people and targeting children in schools in a way that is very scary and disturbs the peace by frightening the people and disturbing comfort and peaceful proceedings throughout the day in normal life for regular people. Creepy weirdos wearing masks, jumping out of some creepy white van that also has no freaking labels, and shoving people into vans and taking off is freaking weird and creepy. It is warranted that the general public express their concerns over this issue, as it appears to be a threat to public well-being and public safety. People have warranted reason to be concerned for their safety if the president... there's a typo there. I kind of slammed this together. But yeah, demand the state government and police departments keep the people safe from ICE abductions, since American citizens have been getting attacked. People have been posing as ICE who are not ICE. Removing citizenship from anyone they want is unconstitutional and should not be allowed. We are America, or are we something else? Our states need to have a plan to protect the children and civilian populace. Don't allow your state officials to cower and act like little whiny when this is what we are dealing with. They have a responsibility to the people who elected them. It is their job. States need to have a common defense and safety and security plan. Personally, I would like to see civilians calling the police on ICE, and ICE be held accountable to act professionally if it is to act at all. We cannot have masked men abducting people because violent criminals have been impersonating ICE. In states where you can write and introduce legislation, do so. Here are states which allow this. They are in green. As you notice, a lot of the places that MAGA is currently occupying are not in green. These are places where people don't have the ability to write their own legislation and therefore defend themselves or write effective legislation to make sure that things are not running in a stupid way. We need anti-corruption laws for sure. There may also be areas where we all agree as well on additional things which may need to be done to protect general well-being. We, the people, can introduce our own legislation. If they are going to ruin our lives by being assholes and introducing reckless legislation and target and harm Americans using legislation, well, we can also do something similar and hold them accountable by holding legislation over their heads as well. Types of legislation that may be useful if introduced would include campaign finance. The United States Congress has continued to fail to pass legislation to prevent foreign campaign finance. If foreign nations, companies, or nationals are able to purchase our politicians, then we have no reason to expect the politicians to act in the best interest of the nation. No wonder they're hurting people and obviously not doing shit for America. We should consider getting legislation written and passed at the state level to do something about this. No more foreign campaign finance loopholes. Strip lobbyists and corporations of the right to invest as persons and limit their power. You can probably do this on the state level. try to find ways to eliminate the Citizens United decision through our states, or at least limit it if we can. We have the ability to decide how our states handle things. If our federal government won't be responsible, we can start holding responsibility on the state level. We can make the decision that our own elected officials coming from the districts in our states are held to a higher standard, and what we are seeing now by passing legislation surrounding finance of our elections and our congressional seats. Recall elections. This is another one that people could write their own legislation on, and we could start recalling members of Congress in our districts, in our states, and say, we don't like what you're doing. It was nice having you in office for 3 or 4 weeks, but obviously you're money laundering, and we don't want you in office anymore. We want someone else. Many countries have appeared to have had coup attempts during the period of December to January of 2024. Several of them were able to handle the situation quickly and efficiently with recall elections. The United States does not currently have any laws which enforce against treason. While treason is a punishable crime, there is no way in law to stop someone who is committing it when the offices expected to do so are also corrupted. The definition of treason includes engaging in acts of war against the American people. If someone is engaging in war against our nation, it is an emergency and it needs to be treated as such. If our Congress has been corrupted and the offices which hold them accountable are failing to hold a treasonous president accountable, then recall elections would be useful in a scenario like this. Our Congress members are elected officials which come from our states. They are state representatives. If a congressman is acting in a blatantly corrupt fashion, the people deserve the right to remove them and put someone more useful and responsible in office. We should consider writing and passing our own legislation which would give us the means as the people to recall ineffective Congress members and possibly also write similar legislation for other offices. Anti-corruption enforcement. While we have agencies and offices in our governmental body which are supposed to be effective in protecting the public from fraud and corruption, unfortunately, they do not appear to be doing a very good job. So we need to find a way to fix that. We can consider things like forming independent agencies in charge of audits, get centrally organized. If we can act collectively, we are more likely in being effective. Spread information across platforms. Spread information across various platforms. What might be getting attention in one place may not be seen in another. If you find important information or events and things that you think that people need to be aware of, share that information. Don't just sit here and watch my videos. If you think that what I'm saying is useful or helpful, you should hit the share button instead of just watching it and letting it dissipate into the abyss. You're more helpful when you get information out because people don't know what they don't know. Spread it across platforms so that these things are heard and we can see and act on them. Analyze the situation and find meaningful and effective solutions. We can panic about what is going on and act frantically, or we can put our heads together and find things that will work. If something seems effective and will work, then we ought to consider it. Share ideas, communicate, find answers together. We might be able to make things a lot better for a lot more people if we do so. Go to part 2. Alright, welcome to part 2. Here are some additional things that you can do if you are concerned about the political situation in the United States and you need things to do. Volunteer. There isn't much remedies for people losing access to food services like SNAP. Food banks can be helpful, but they are likely to be overburdened and run out of food. They also do not provide sufficient food assistance to keep someone properly fed. Activist efforts are also going to need volunteers. There's probably others who need volunteers, but unfortunately I don't know everything, so keep an eye out and educate others. Run for office. Every generation has its time. We need to step up to the plate and start moving into office and be the decision makers. We're dealing with shady pieces of crap who think they can just blatantly steal money from the people and harm innocent people on a mass scale. This is unacceptable. What we have in office, and all we know, people need public housing. There's just so many typing errors in here because I was like trying to get this done quickly. People need housing. They keep getting poisoned by corporations. All the animals are dying. This is dumb. Why are we letting this happen? Obviously, these leaders have been getting from people what we don't even know, and we need to stop picking whatever people are presented to us, because now we have criminals in office who appear to be embezzling tax funds, wrecking the economy, and making this country seem like a thriving nightmare, and just acting like abominable and barbaric creatures. We can do better than this, and we all know it. We need rational decision makers in office and officials chosen by the people to hold office. Maybe you don't think you're competent, but maybe you are. We need to do better than this crap that we are all witnessing and collectively experiencing. Raise awareness. Get online and reach out across platforms when you find things that will be useful. Amplify the voices of those who are speaking out against this tyranny by sharing the content. Recognize that Americans mostly don't read and are practically illiterate, and find creative ways to make information more accessible to the learning disabled. The average reading competency of Americans is 6th grade reading competency, so find ways to make information comprehensive and assist in public education. Educate the general public. Common sense isn't so common. Just because somebody knows something doesn't mean everybody else does. What may be simple to you may not be simple to others. We need to get people familiar with what has been happening and how it affects them, and find ways to make it understandable. A lot of people are not familiar with the political and legal processes. It is our responsibility to educate them. Even sharing information about things that seems to be very simple can be incredibly helpful right now. Teach people definitions. Express your thoughts and feelings openly. Put a disclaimer that you are using your opinion and you are expressing your thoughts, and you may not have so many problems with your videos getting taken down. Do not present your thoughts, your opinions, as if they are fact. Making disclaimers seems to help. Express your thoughts and feelings openly. It raises public sentiment and public awareness. A lot of us are feeling upset and generally crappy because of what is going on. It's okay to have emotions, feelings, and frustrations. Every human being on earth has had to experience them, even the most well put together. We need to be more open about the repercussions of the things these people are doing to innocent people. Support and educate people on political candidates. Endorse candidates that will be helpful in making things better for America. Take the time to figure out who your candidates are. There's a good starting point. We can sit around and whine and be upset about what's going on, but do you even know who's running for office in your district? That would be a good place to start, and consider getting behind them. Also, reach out to these offices. Let's make sure that these political candidates know how to use these social media platforms, and pressure them to be engaging with the public. Engage people in the political arena and get them educated so that they can understand what is being done in front of them when our leaders act, especially when they act abhorrently. Keep track of the shit that they are doing so we can come back and fix it. Keep track of dates, times, and legislation. Don't expect somebody else to be doing it. If you are able to take the time to keep a log, do it. If there's a criminal investigation on these guys, that information may be needed later. If there is a criminal investigation, if you have information on something and there's a criminal investigation, submit that information to whoever the hell is suing the Trump administration. Boycott. Somebody should make a boycott MAGA app that makes it easy to navigate on boycotts. I am also working with some people on some boycotts. There's going to be tomorrow, technically today, it is 12:17 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on the 9th, a blackout. You can participate in that by not spending any money. There's also going to be another blackout in September. You can find those things on my backup profile, Waffles, Mcgrawl, News Network, here on TikTok. Protests. Protests help raise general public awareness. Protests engage international understanding. We may not speak the same language, all the time, but when there are mass demonstrations out in the streets, the world knows what really matters to the people versus what they're being told. It's undeniable when it's seen. Protests are a great networking event for activists to get connected with organizations and like-minded people and continue working on the issues we are facing afterwards. Get information about who is organizing the rally if you can, and this can help enhance safety. If you are considering bringing children, it's a good idea to know if the people holding the rally have a protest permit, as these rallies tend to be more safe. Another thing to understand is if you are bringing children, things tend to get abnormal or violent after dark. General strike. There's been a lot of momentum going on doing a general strike. I see a lot of people talking about this. Again, tomorrow, the 9th, technically today, buy nothing. Don't participate in the economy. Starve the beast. The People's Sick Day. And then there's also a petition for a very large general strike. And I don't know where that is right now, so I'm not pulling it up. Infiltrate MAGA spaces to educate. Do it directly or set up a backup account. Post your own content or share educational content to get them educated. In a worst case scenario, if a conflict is breaking out in your region, shelter in place. Vote. If you cannot try the simplest and most available solution, which is to vote, and we have 1/3 of the population not voting for that reason, then you are really in no place to say that voting doesn't work. Try the simplest thing first, and if it truly doesn't work, do something about it. Circulate petitions and get people registered to vote. Find offices running campaigns for petitions on causes you support and help them out. Know the rules in your state. Voting laws vary. Start by checking voter registration deadlines, ID requirements, online, in-person, and mail-in registration options. There's an official website that is in the article. There's a handful of them and some tools. Start small, your inner circle. Talk to friends and family, co-workers, people at your school or faith group, neighbors, and mutual aid groups. Ask, hey, are you registered to vote? Then help them get registered to vote. Take it public. Here are some ways to scale your impact. Set up a voter registration table at local events, parks, fairs, libraries, or schools. Host a voter registration party with snacks and music. Partner with local organizations. Canvas or phone link with nonpartisan orgs. Use social media to amplify. Bust myths. Use social media to amplify. Create short posts or videos to bust myths. You can vote with a past felony in many states. Share key dates and links. Use trending hashtags. Tools you can use. There's all kinds of, there's like websites that you can register to vote. You don't need permission to do this. You don't have to be a part of a nonprofit or a political campaign to help people register. The right information, a willingness to ask, and a bit of courage to speak up. Carpool people to voting polls. Offer carpools to the polls when it's election time. Keep yourself safe and get out the vote. You can organize carpools online or in your local community. Join a union. Speak openly about unions. We're going to go to the next video. Go to part 3. Welcome to part 3 about things that concerned Americans can do to try and protect, America and stand up for their rights and stuff, which is stuff you can do if you're concerned about the situation. Join a union. Speak openly about unions and educate others about unions. Look for unions in your area. They have been dismantling the Department of Labor, and there has been significant impacts on workers' rights in recent years. We need to demand that businesses act ethically and see to our own protection as individuals and work through unions in order to protect our rights as workers and ensure fair pay. If you cannot find a union in your area, demand the nearest union start serving your area by email or phone. Call them and tell them, I want to work for the union, but there's no union and there's jobs, so why don't you come out here and get something? They can contract with the local labor force in your area and start serving your area. I did that. Union affiliation, union type is based on industry and skill type like laborer or service industry, and there's also unions based on skill like plumbers or electrician unions. Build a platform and find a way to make this easy to navigate. Apps like IceBlock are useful and make things easy to navigate. Voting maps would be great. We might be able to use additional things like anti-MAGA boycott app or something. If you are a developer, consider making something like this. People want to be helping, but it is so hard to navigate. Consider setting up a website for your local region or just overall to help people navigate this complex situation. We need volunteers all over the place, and we need to keep people informed on boycotts, protests, and anything else going on. Get organized and help others navigate. Act in a unified fashion. Get interconnected as efforts so everyone's voices are heard. We need to ensure that every industry, ethnicity, gender, and age are heard and represented. Summarize which sectors of society have been negatively impacted by the administration's reckless and criminal acts, and monitor performance as a means to figure out how to fix the situation. We need to find a way to keep track of the negative impacts and have information published where it's comprehensive. There's too much going on all over the place since the president appears to be, and is likely attacking the nation. This goes for accessibility and collective organizing. Protect your person and your physical well-being. Nobody should be made afraid that they're going to be swept off of the street for no particular reason all of a sudden. Sue the government. Sue the freaking Trump administration. There are concerns about corruption, so this might not be the most effective way to handle things, but it is still a way to handle things. Collectively organized and suing groups. Pursue class action. Law firms and nonprofits are overwhelmed right now. Your chances at success are going to be better in groups. Contact your state attorney general and complain about rights violations and demand they act. Also, hold your state attorney general accountable to do their freaking job. I live in Colorado. Our state attorney general does not appear to be doing his freaking job. He does not appear to have been doing his freaking job for a long time now. I'm wondering why. Anyways, we got too many people sitting on their hands that should be acting right now. We should be hearing from our AGs, governors, and mayors as to what they are doing to remedy this situation and protect people's physical safety, general well-being, and legal rights. Engage in activism with honesty, self-reflection, and integrity. We are in a very serious and potentially dangerous situation as a nation. We need to navigate into this and through this in an organized and respectable manner. When there is a large amount of people involved, we may not all see eye to eye or understand one another very well due to just generally being different people and being in a situation where strangers are needing to work on similar issues. Just because you may have a difference in perspective does not mean the other party is wrong or does not have warranted need or reasons for doing things in a way that you might not understand. It is better to seek to understand before passing judgment on others. We need to ensure that others are heard and that needs are met. We have a situation where the president has implemented what appears to be a militant attack upon the American people. Services such as weather monitoring services, agencies that prevent criminal harm and anti-fraud, policing, and for public safety have been under attack and are not providing adequate service to maintain stability. National security is at risk. We need to protect people like teachers, scientists, environmental protections, financial sector, people of color, children, women, and, well, pretty much everybody, since the president is literally threatening to feed us all to alligators after stripping us of our citizenship. It is incredibly important that everyone be advised and move with the understanding that making political decisions affects all of us and can cause innocent people in the future to suffer. We need to do what we can to avoid missteps and have respect for the human condition. This is not about everybody's personality deficits or for ego boost. People can get a sense of community from political movements, but that can also be dangerous. It's important for people to feel like they belong and have a sense of community, and it is also a good thing for people to have that. However, When we are working collectively on such important things, we cannot let the feel-good vibes distract us from what really matters, and that means being able to look at things objectively and with discernment and take yourself out of it in order to make correct and effective decisions. This is what it means to be a good leader. It's okay to make mistakes and be wrong sometimes. We all do it. So when it happens, accept it with humility and also know when to stop and introspect to decide if you are being objective or not when necessary. We need to figure out how we are going to get back to a normal standard of living and not just let a small group of horrible and vile people just strip us of everything that we ever had and completely ruin our lives and accept allowing a mass casualty event to take place. America deserves better than what it is receiving. And that's what I have for things that we can do to try and improve the situation that we are all dealing with as a result of this administration.